So here we have Aitutaki in the Cook Islands. I just thought I'd show again the very narrow passage down into Aitutaki harbour, and here you can see the position of Nereida in the harbour. Well, I've had a busy morning here in Aitutaki. The weather's not very nice, very strong winds, very grey sky. Not exactly the weather that gives the lovely light blue colour to the over the white sand in the atoll, which I'm hoping to go and see shortly. Spent all morning sorting out my first reef problem, and I'm glad to say I have sorted that out now. It turns out basically into a connection, a join, a splice in the long length of spectra Dyneema line that was used for that first reef. There should never have been a length of line including a join, because that keeps getting caught up on the car inside the boom. So I've managed to free everything, and also in doing that actually I've retied the third reef, which seemed to have got twiddled. So it's been a good morning's work. I've covered put the stack pack cover in place and zipped it up, tied up the sail, so very good. And I've also taken the pole down, which I should have done before. And then I'm going to start looking at my slipping alternator belt on the main engine. I have to tighten the belt to stop it slipping, and hopefully then when I run the engine, that will then charge the batteries. So that's the next job. The bad weather here is likely to go on for over the weekend, according to the predict wind forecast that I've been looking at. So it'll be a question of just getting on with boat jobs in the meantime. But hopefully what I want to do actually is have a little walk around the island. It's not very big. And then I'll be able to have a look out over this atoll and maybe even catch some sunshine. So here's the dredger that has been used to make the channel and the harbour, deep in the harbour, and here's an egret making good use of a muddy foreshore. When it rains in Aitutaki, it really rains. It is pouring down. And the water is completely muddy. Here's the egret again. And there are definitely fish where he is, so he must be getting a reasonable feed there. I was very lucky that I did actually get my trip around the island, courtesy of Mike, who came by and offered to take me around to show me everything, which was fantastic. So here we saw a reef heron by the shore side. So here we are, we've reached the southeast corner of the island, so we're looking out over this big lagoon of Aitutaki. Normally a vivid blue in the sunshine, even now looking pretty good in the strong wind and rainy conditions. There we go. Yeah, so this is the southeast end of Aitutaki, right?
Yeah.
It was lovely to see so much natural growth down that end of the island, and there were so many coconuts around, two different types of palm, a tall one and a short one. As well as touring the island, Mike also took me to the Aitutaki resort for a very nice lunch and looking out over the atoll again. Beautiful colouring. And here's a noni in flower, which I'd not seen before. And the vines here hanging down were pretty spectacular, very high as you can see. And there were lots of wild pigs on the island, some tame, some wild, and obviously a traditional building here. So here we've got a reef heron. I thought it was an ibis, but it's a reef heron. So after a lovely tour around the island, it was back to the boat to get on with urgent jobs there. Well, I found this nut underneath the engine, and it's almost the right size, but not quite. It just will not screw on. So clearly That is not, it can't possibly be the nut that was on this bolt before it came away. And the other thing that I've also found is a piece of square metal which looks very much as though it should fit on the bracket there. I don't know what it's doing, but that is down there quite clearly, looking as though it fits on the front of the bracket here. And the odd washer was found beneath the engine as well. Here we are in lovely, beautiful Aitutaki, looking at the alternator belt problem. And it turns into not just an alternator belt problem, because clearly this belt here is way too loose, and it's coming out from the from here. But also there's a plate on this area here, a square plate, which I've just discovered below the engine, down in here. I can try to light it. Yeah, there we go. There's the plate. It looks as though it fits on the front here. It looks exactly that size. And I've also seen a bolt down there, right by that plate. I've also found a nut, which was way down under the engine down here. And I've just seen also a ring, a seal washer. And in the meantime, the alternator is moving around big time. I mean, I can move this alternator, no problem, and I shouldn't be able to move it at all. And the bolt that I found missing was from down here. The bolt that's in the picture there, you can see the head of, is fine, but the gap beyond it, yeah, you can see the light shining through that hole. That should have another bolt, similar bolt in it. Colin has very kindly come by. He's taken the alternator off, and the conclusion is, of course, that that should not be missing its square plate that was sealing off the engine from the alternator bracket between the two. Found quite a few nuts and bolts down there underneath the engine, a load of them. Some for that square steel panel that should be in place. And no wonder I had all the oil down here. It was just coming out of here. Bracket that was taken off that holds the alternator in place. Got to get it off my nice carpet. So it's great of Colin to come and help. And I've just been trying to sort out this alternator, thinking all I had to do was tighten the alternator belt. It's turned into a bigger problem, of course. You know, that bracket and the fact that everything's been falling to bits has got to be sorted out before the alternator can be tightened and the belt can be tightened and stay put. Liquid gasket sealant was put in place, ready to take the cover plate for the engine access point just there. Another problem which turned up was the alternator, in falling down, had damaged the coolant liquid hose, which explained why I kept finding so much pink liquid below the engine. So that was also dealt with. All together, working fine. Thanks to Colin here. Looking out up the harbour, I suddenly realised the cruise ship was anchored off. Well, it's a lovely day, lovely sunshine, which makes a nice change. And looking at the weather, I suddenly realised that maybe I should be leaving tomorrow. So unexpectedly, a bit sooner than I was thinking. But so I'm going to the customs office now to clear out from Aitutaki. In fact, to clear out from the Cook Islands, because I should be heading now to Tonga. The benefit of having the cruise ship in town, of course, was having some music on the quayside.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So what was the song about?
A person that is talking about his life
Mm-hmm.
and about how God can help him.
It was an absolutely beautiful day, so I took advantage just to wander around the harbour area. Here we see Nereida happily at anchor in the harbour basin. And I was waiting for Mike to turn up because I'd had word he had a Mahi-Mahi for me to take with me. So here we have the photo he sent me later of the Mahi-Mahi that he'd caught that morning. And what a beautiful fish. I cooked the meal, had some that night and had some on passage. Thank you so much, Mike. That was really lovely, and for showing me around the island. 9 next morning was high water, and I was all ready to go with my sail partly already up, get my anchor up, and get underway to Tonga, hopefully via Beveridge Reef.